If you're struggling to accomplish tasks, achieve your goals, this video will give you a comprehensive understanding how you can highly efficiently manage your projects end to end, going from team project management all the way to your personal task management to organize it, personal knowledge management to accomplish it, and all the way back to the team project management part. We will look into several tools that we use personally, but also for our business. But the beautiful thing about the tool agnostic approach that we have with ICOR is that it will work for any tool. We're just using these tools as examples. So in this video, you will see Clickup as the project management tool, Sunsama as the planner application, Tana and Heptabase as personal knowledge management. That's all we need to set our goals, create projects, create tasks out of it, and accomplish all the goals on autopilot. And to show you that all the things that we teach actually work in real life and that Paco and I are both walking the walk using the same methodology that we teach, we are showing in this video how we created our ICOR journey book from start to finish using the tools and the methodology itself. So you will see from the spark of inspiration to create a book all the way until we publish the book, how we accomplish this. It's the best example to share with you to get a holistic understanding how productivity really works end to end and how you can accomplish your goals on autopilot. So let's dive into this. Now, how did we create the ICOR journey book end to end? It might have started in your PKM tool at first as something that you had on your mind. And for the ICOR journey book, it worked that I added it to the agenda meeting, okay, which is just a list of things that we add that we want to discuss on our weekly agenda meeting. We just have one meeting per week where we discuss anything that appears during the week so we don't interrupt each other. That's asynchronous work. It all starts with go to the agenda meeting. I write down ICOR book and then I forget it. Maybe I add context. Maybe I link out to some notes that I took on my PKM system that I want to discuss in this meeting then to know perfectly the moment we discuss this. And 1 week later, I don't remember all the details. That's why I had all this here. Then we discuss it and then we decide, okay, let's talk about this in the next quarterly meeting, or this needs to be planned. And this is where we just open this task and then you can move this into the idea incubator. That's how this works. I spoke with Paco and we did it. Let's put it into the idea incubator. And this is where, so you move it into the idea incubator. It is as a new idea. I can on the fly say it needs to get planned. And this is it. And it's out of the agenda meeting. It's like checked off. It's away. We discussed it. We know it will get addressed the moment it needs to be addressed. You go to an idea incubator and here it appears with all the context that was already added. It is not actionable yet, but you don't forget it. So there's no additional work to do. And that's how this worked for the ICOR journey book. And again, there's where the quarterly reviews are very important. You put this into the idea incubator. Why? Because if the system is properly working, you're already completely full with work that matters. You already agreed on goals that you want to accomplish or achieve. Therefore, you create projects and tasks that you're working on currently in this quarter. So there's no place for anything else unless it is so much more important than anything else that you already scheduled. If you don't do this, you will never achieve the goals that you actually set in the first place. You work on something a while and then you switch to another goal and then you overwhelm the team. This way, we can be assured by moving it into the idea incubator that we look at this each quarter. So you see already Paco added here an item at some point and I wanted to see Paco's linear setup at some point and see it's a someday maybe thing. And here it is, we haven't decided yet because we haven't had the quarterly review since then. But in the quarterly review, we would look into the idea incubator. We see what we accomplished in the quarter. And if anything opens up, we complete a project. This is the place where we go to see what we can do next. So there's a never-ending source of things we can do next. But the beauty is there is already upfront thought that went into this. So in this case, there's the context, that somebody did, and we could do the same. And then we will discuss this briefly. Will we do it or not? But you see here a long list rejected ideas. I mean, it's endless. All the rejected ideas that we decided after a quarter sitting there, that's why it's an incubator. We decided it's nonsense to do it, or we did it already in a different form, or whatever. But we know we at least tracked it. But at the same time, you see here accepted all the things that we actually accomplished over the time, okay? And one of it is the ICOR journey book. So if I search for the book, ICOR book, Okay, you see, it was initially an idea in here. It's accepted. We did it. There's still a comment. Here's here distribution service for the initial ideas. So that's why an incubator, whenever over the quarter more ideas come up or information about this becomes the single source of truth to enrich. Because once you start it, at least in Clickup, you can just right click and convert this then into a list, which is essentially a project. So you convert this task with all the information that you already gathered. Maybe you have already subtasks in there. You convert this into a list and you have a kickstart with this project without even thinking. But at the same time, you haven't had the pressure to think too much about the project all the time while you've been busy doing other things already. Okay. So this happened. So we created a project. This project is no longer here because it's archived. So I will bring back the archived projects. ICOR book. Here it is. Okay. Archived. These are all the projects that we completed already. So there are many things. There might be short things, okay, that just take 30 minutes. You're not putting this into here. You decide as an agenda meeting, you look at the effort, and then you decide, okay, let's quickly do that. And that's where you then have the operations section. So if I say, okay, we need to do this, we already put it like this in here. And then the next time we go in here, we know already a prioritization. We ignore this for now and go, if there's a long list, okay, let's plan these things out. What is the most pressing one that we need to plan out? And if there's not much, then we look into the someday maybe, because they cannot sit there forever. And that's why we have here the total time and state, okay? So we see these are the archive. That's why they're appearing. They're no longer there. But you see here, there are things like in the status, 951 days and so on. So you can prioritize by the things that are in there too long. And then we also have an idea potential column where you can say, okay, this has a really high potential. And then we know it needs to be planned. You have an initial prioritization and then you focus on this in the next quarterly meeting. And then you say, okay, let's plan this out. Or if you complete a project and people run out of work, then you go there obviously earlier. And here we're in the team space. Here we're in the business space, business project management in this case. And this is now the project. It's a simple list. And this is the moment where we simply had a meeting, creating the project and thinking about all the steps that we need to do in order to accomplish creating a book. This is the final list, but believe me, it was not this long when we started the project because we had no idea. So it started with this one, create outline for the ICOR book, assigned to Paco on the 26th in March 2024. It was a milestone, which means it was a weekly goal, okay? And then this was it. That was the only task. So Paco did it. And this is the moment where this is a very broad thing. But now Paco will share how this went from here on a personal level. So from a team level, the task was created and assigned to Paco to create this outline for the book. And then he set a deadline and then, you know, he took the time that he took until he came back with the final result. And that's the normal thing for the team. I don't care about the details. I don't want to see any Google Docs or anything appearing here where he works on it. No, that's what he did in his tools. And now you see how it switched in the personal space for Paco.
Okay, so now we are in a moment that we have a project, okay, that it's a container of tasks that are related because they are the ones that once completed, we will complete the project and we will achieve the goal that it's linked because this was linked to several goals, like for instance, increase sales, increase brand awareness. Those are the goals. And we say, okay, increase the sales. What the heck do we do? Okay, let's simplify the thing. Well, why don't create a book that we can sell? Well, okay, then that's a project, okay? But connected to that goal there on Clickup in the business project management tool, we can see those goals and the link, okay, the traceability of the different projects.
Yeah,
okay.
Let's have a look. So that's the nice thing about Clickup, that you always have a high level view. You can go to everything on top level and you see all the tasks. That's where people get overwhelmed because they have so many other different types of tasks and so on. But what they miss out is really the goal setting thing, where you have here the goals. And again, here are goals where you can show the archives, okay? And now you see we have a lot more goals that we have accomplished. Somewhere there will be the ICOR book here, okay? And the good thing is ICOR book, in this case, it was the goal itself to create this book, but it is linked to a list here, okay? So you can link a goal in Clickup directly to the project. And by just simply ticking off the tasks, you will see the progress of the goal there. So when I click in here or this, when it goes here, there's one list attached to this. And now I can click on the list. And that's the list that we've just seen previously. So you set this goal once, you connect it to this project or several projects. And by simply completing these projects, you can check the status of the goal and you see if you achieved it or not. And when you have the quarterly review, you open up your goals and then you see the progress of the different goals, which is reflected by the progress of the individual projects. Other tools like Asana and so make this much more complicated, where you have portfolios and a lot of manual managing of the updates. Here, it's everything interconnected. So now that we are in this list, yeah, and we are still here, okay? So with what we just had before, the create outline. And Paco went then to Tana and his personal knowledge management tool.
But first off, let's keep going down. This is the project management area, okay, where we have the action, okay, and the information that it's related to the team, no matter that we call it business, okay, business and personal, okay, no matter that personal is also work-related things, okay, but business in the ICOR framework is team related.
This is where you have always to keep in mind the ICOR framework. That's what Paco said. We've been here in the business project management area, Clickup. We've been in this area, business knowledge management, which was the idea incubator, just collecting information. It was not an action yet. And now we have made it an action. And out of this, we created a goal and a project inside Clickup. And in this project, the first task was to create this outline. And this task sits in Clickup. And that's where people then get confused. What are all the things that I need to do? Because they work for different businesses, for example. So that's where they need to manage themselves in the personal project management. So maybe I have a task in Clickup. Maybe another guy sends me one from Jira, and another company, if I'm a consultant or freelancer, this is the normal thing. And another thing sits there. Or in your case, it would be several businesses. So you need to manage yourself, but you get these tasks from other business project management systems. Okay, so that's what Paco was going for right now. That he said, before I went to Tana, I scheduled it out. I planned it out. And that's where I went into Sunsama.
Sunsama, okay, because I have received a task, okay, by my team that I'm responsible for. Because the first thing is, when do I do this? Okay, that's the first thing. I need to schedule it, okay? And then I will show here. This is Sunsama. The thing is that we need to understand that every single card represents a time slot, okay? No matter that they call them tasks, these cards are not cards at all, okay? They represent time slots. So I need to assign a time slot, okay? And the beautiful thing is that Sunsama allows you to connect to the different systems. In my case here, I have Linear, that is a project management tool, Clickup, that is a project management tool, Email, that is where I have emails, Todoist, that is my task management tool, okay? And I can see also here my calendar, okay? So if I go to Clickup, I see here, okay, the task that I have been assigned to on the project management system. So here I can drag and drop and decide, well, I will work tomorrow in this task, okay? But here I'm combining everything. The thing is that here I have guaranteed that I will dedicate time to this task because it's in my planner. I will decide if I need to delay, okay, by moving these time slots and say, well, this task, I won't do it today. Imagine that today is Wednesday. I will do it tomorrow. Boom. And here I have a full control because the moment that I press T, okay, these are the things that I need to do today, okay, and force the sequentiality. But well, here I have, okay, this is my responsibility. Create the outline of the book. And I say, well, I need to think by myself about the outline. And that's the moment that I move into my PKM system. This is the moment that I go finally into Tana and create the outline. This is a project. Forget if this is a node or this is a view or whatever the heck. So okay, this is Tana. Okay, I have created here ICOR Journey Book, a project. I have created this project in my personal knowledge management system because it's a project that affects to me as an individual because I'm responsible of this. I have tasks related to this project.
But now it's important. Now we're in a PKM space where we teach the My Life concept and projects, key elements and topics. That's what My Life consists. Projects are just information here. So you have a project that you're working on And now you need to gather information around it, work on it, and so on. And this is now your working space. That's why we call it projects in here. But you're not tracking the due dates and the individual tasks for the projects here. This is just so you know the projects that you're currently working on, and that's your working space personally.
This was blank, okay? Let's do something. Boom. This is the beautiful thing about outlining, okay? Now, this is the empty thing. I will simplify the thing to be follow focus on the things that matter. I have just a bullet point that it's a node where I need to think. This is the time slot that I say, create the outline. Well, time is running. I need to start working on this thing. So I think about, well, the book will have a prologue and will have final conclusions. And I start here brainstorming myself without annoying anyone in the team, doing my crazy things and how I think. The beautiful thing is that Tana, as an outliner, is helping me in my thinking process, how I manage the information of creating an outline of the book. And I say, well, I think that here we got information and action. It could be 2 parts, and I say 2 parts. And then you see that here, I'm creating here, and I'm collapsing, and I see the big picture where I said, and now I want to fully focus on one thing. I can go inside that node, and here I can start. It will be note-taking, and it will be PKM. And well, an action, I am thinking and delivering this. I think that you understand the process. The thing is that at the end, I end up with this thing. I got a title, links, but here, look at this node. It says books. If I go in here, now I'm inside. I thought about the structure, and I say, well, it has first words, and I write something crazy. The point is that now you are seeing the end product, the final product. It wasn't this way, because this was an ongoing thing that I came back here and think about, well, now I have the big backbone, as I told you, the introduction, the core concepts, turning information into action. And now what? And the appendix. This is the structure. And inside of them, I thought these were the final chapters of the book. And this is how we structure the book. You see here, boom, this is the chapter of the book. The basic ideas, because based on this, I work in a long text format like Heptabase to create the real chapter under the book. Okay? Okay, perfect. Then the thing is that there's a moment when I need to write a chapter of something that I need a tool that works in long text format. And that's not. An outliner is something to have the ideas, the structure, to move things up and down, to go inside a node, to do the thinking process of the structure, no matter that I can obviously write the main ideas. This is the main ideas of a chapter, but this is not long text format. So that's why we move to Heptabase. Okay, boom. I got a whiteboard here. Here. Okay, I think you can see. This is a whiteboard, and I got here another whiteboard that is called Paperless Movement ICOR Book 2024. Okay.
Maybe yes? Paco, you even go further back so we see the My Life concept again. So you Perfect. See in Tana and in here, it's both the same structure. So therefore, no matter the tool you go, you will always find the same structure and therefore easily can find anything needed. So here he has My Life. There are the key elements, projects, topics. Forget the rest. That's something specific. And here, key elements, topics, and projects. The book, it's in topics, okay? And I can perfectly navigate, okay? If I go to My Life, I go to Paperless Movement, I go to products, and here, little by little, okay? Here you can see, okay, my thinking process in the different courses that we prepare. So now, Paperless Movement book, boom, you see that it's in project. I'm navigating, I'm not making a search and looking that I could do if I have here also a way of looking for, okay, you see, and here I can see Paperless Movement book, boom, exactly the same. But I've been navigating, this is following my common sense. My Life, Paperless Movement, it's my key element, my Paperless Movement. I'm little by little going into my buckets, okay? Then the buckets of products, and then the bucket of the book. And then here, I got a whiteboard, and here I have 2 isolated cards that I create in a crazy day that, well, here, random ideas for our book. Change. But that's the point. You see? Nobody will see this. Correct. That's your secure space. That's why people always look for collaboration in PKM tools and so on. No, man, I don't want to have anybody else in there to see all the messy thoughts that I have there. But the end product should be in a shareable place. And that's what we see here.
And you see here, I started taking advantage. That's why it's the concepts that matters. Because here, you see, Tana, I was using notes, but here I'm taking advantage of the cards, but also the sections, okay, and the colors, because here, this represents the different sections of the book. This was the first one. This was the introduction, and then the ICOR core concepts, and then the ICOR journey, the comprehensive. You see here, are the exact same structure of the outline, introduction, core concepts. Boom, here, obviously, this is the end product, then ICOR concepts, okay? But here it's introduction, and we call it 3, 2, 1 ignition, okay? But it's exactly the same. You see, behind the ink, and here I got behind the ink, you know? I created the structure of the chapter here on Tana, taking advantage of the features that an outliner brings to the table, whereas here I took advantage of having long text format. Here I can now use the outlining and then start adding content to the different nodes there. But here, this is the end product, okay? And here you see, I got the link to the Tana outline. Now it will open. I need to log in, and I'm not going to do that, but I will link to Tana, okay, without any problem.
And that's how you keep context, right? You keep the process. After that was 2024. We're in 2026, and he still can now realize how we went through the whole, or he went through the whole thought process and all the way back. Obviously, if you keep switching tools, that becomes harder.
But you see that here, for instance, I have a complete, a structure using colors and using the cards and being able to move things up and here, to create whatever. For instance, I had for months, okay, that, well, after create the outline, okay, was the task creating the draft of the book. That was the task, okay, in the project management that I brought, okay, so in Sunsama, instead of create the outline, it was create the draft, okay, of the book. And that was the task that I was every single day moving, in my case, from one day to the other, so that I knew that I need to dedicate time to it.
And then you moved it forward to keep working on it. You haven't been postponing it.
But here, to avoid creating, imagine if my goal was to create a chapter every single day. So I could have start creating on the project management or my task management in Todoist, a task of create chapter 1, create chapter 2, create chapter 3. And man, that's a waste of time. So I made a disguised task management system here. And what was that task management workflow? Well, that every single card, initially, it was in red. I knew that I needed to go to the first one in red. I work on this. Well, finish. Well, green, boom. Or if I wanted to review a little bit because I wasn't sure, I put it in yellow, okay? It was a color code just for me. Tom has no clue about if I use red, the structure of this whiteboard, nothing at all. It's my world. He's just seeing that I am going through a task, that I'm moving day by day. If he gets into that project and goes into that project, because he has no obligation, because it's but if he wants to reach out, he goes to the task in the project management system and create a comment. Hey, Paco, have you achieved the chapter that you have planned for today? How things are going? And I can reply there.
But the thing is, that's no need, because we have weekly agenda meetings where we constantly see what is going on week by week. And therefore, having this weekly scope is very tangible. And we underestimated creating the book. It took longer than expected, right? And more effort. And yet, we've always had the informed decisions compared to everything else that was going on in the business to decide each week, do we move forward? Do we dedicate more time to this? And so on. And this is where everything works end to end. And again, I didn't care why, but Paco was perfectly able to always say what he's at.
Okay, so here, this is how we have managed information, and at the same time, how we have done the individual task management by using Sunsama and me forcing myself to schedule that task. And we have that element, that item on Clickup in the team area, okay, the business project management area, where we have that action item also. So now going back, there's a moment that I need, okay, to move this personal content to the team again so that Tom can review and make annotations, comment, or whatever, so that we start that back and forth of discussing the different chapters. But that happens at a project management level. We need to go there. It cannot be here, well, maybe Tom can create the comments in his personal knowledge management and then decide what he shares in the business project management system, that those are the comments. And that's something that Clickup manages perfectly. It manages perfectly business knowledge management. At the end, the chapter, it's something that is team related. It's related to the business knowledge management area. And Clickup allows you to also share information and link it to an action.
So again, just to complete this here, Paco went to Sunsama. He planned out with all the other things that he has on his plate already. When can I work on this? And dedicated time to it. He has Tana and Heptabase there. This is now his personal knowledge management. This is where the actions system triggers to work on it. He perfectly knows where to go to complete the task, because he has the information that is necessary to complete the task. And now we are at this point where now he completed this outline and already drafted out all the lessons, and it went back into Clickup. And now let's go to Clickup to see what happened there on the Clickup end then. So he came back, he create outline for the ICOR book. And by the way, that's just the outline. And then we had the overview, and he went then into write first draft of the book. Okay. So that was the overall idea. We discussed if this is okay or not. And then he went further, write the drafts. And that's what you have seen in Heptabase. Write draft for the book. I don't know if there's a comment still. Yeah, see, there is. He shared all the things, what he did. And there's the link. Now I created an agenda meeting, then we discussed it. And eventually it ended up all on top. There's a Clickup doc that is attached to the project. Again, full context available in just one list. So here's the book draft. And now he created all the individual items of the book. He added all the drafts that he created. And that's, again, pragmatic. We don't need to create a task now for each individual chapter and to keep track of. No, there was a task for me to review now all the different chapters and comment on it, or add things, remove things, and so on. And therefore, here it was just like this, all of them. It is just an emoji. So it is the same thing as you just have seen for Paco. He planned it out in Sunsama. That's the action to do it. And then he goes into Heptabase, and based on colors, he knows the last progress that he made the last time he worked on it. And the same it was for me. It was impossible to do in one day, reviewing all these things, okay? But that's what I did step by step. Each time I went through this, and that's again what you like in Google Docs. You can comment, you add the comment, and then in comments, you see here, resolved 6 comments. See, boom, discussions. Then here, that's actually threads. And then in the threads, we discussed, name conventions. We discussed, should we really put this there? And so on. Now we are in a team level collaboration, but we are already getting closer to the final product where we say we are now in a business knowledge management system. The stage is much further than just normal brainstorming. So I went through all this. We had all these discussions. We refined the things. And this was the end product. Now, well, obviously, everything was then tracked through the project itself. There you see somewhere then our designer coming up. We see our accountant manager coming up. Check tax for Amazon sales, yeah? And all these things were tracked in this thing.
Well, you have there the task related to reviewing the ICOR
review
book,
ICOR, yeah, correct, yeah. Review ICOR Journey Book Draft version 1. And here's the comments. See, here my approach to this task. Click, and it opens up the discussion that we had about this. Yeah, so, but this was tracked. That was now my task. I scheduled my time out on Sunsama, right? And see when I will do this. It was deep work. It was deep work sessions dedicated in one day. That was the highlight of the day. It was a weekly goal, and that's how everything moved forward without falling through the cracks. While we also had all the other things to do, creating videos, managing 3 other businesses for Paco, all the things. And yet we still been able to create a book within 7 months, which is pretty insane when you talk to others publishing books of this size. So here I went through this. We discussed this. And then it ended up in a Google Doc. And you see full context after more than 2 years, with one click of a button, I still can just go to the Google Doc. Here you have it. That's the final version of the book that we needed to provide in this format to the designer, because that was necessary for the Kindle version. And these are the details, right? But you see, everything is linked back together. We completed our work. We had all the conclusions here, and now we have it here. And now we can go wild, because now it's in Google Docs. Now we can use AI to ask whatever it is about ICOR. We have also here to ask AI. So, but this is it. And then we went until it was published. Launch, post-launch campaign. And again, we have a name convention. This is not a task. You see, there's nobody assigned. That's just a container. It's not an action. And in there are the actions. So these are not subtasks per definition on ICOR. These are the actual tasks. And this is just a container holding these tasks.
So you see the verbs in every single action: create, send, research, send, remind. You see, action, because if you think about what needs to be done and ensure that it's an action, you need to find a verb. If not, think that it sounds like information. That's the important thing.
And this was it. The book was launched. And it's still available on Amazon. So what do you think? Can you see this for your own team to work too? You see, we just simplify things. Many people are overcomplicating project management tools, their setups, templates inside their PKM tools, but they never think about the holistic workflow of the things. If you need to work with a team, everybody needs to have an easy to understand productivity system that is scalable. And that's what we do with any of our tools. And if you really want to understand the underlying concepts and workflows that we talked about in this one video, you can check out the ICOR Journey Starter Kit for free inside my ICOR, or you really dive into our ICOR Journey courses, where we have specific courses for each of the parts that we discussed: digital note-taking like a pro and PKM like a pro, task management like a pro, project management like a pro, and eventually automation like a pro, where we talk about workflow optimization and automation. By understanding these tool agnostic workflows, you will be able to build your future-proof productivity system yourself. Because always keep in mind, your tools will change, but your system won't. I'll catch you up in the next one.